I'm fine, thanks for asking, Doctor. I've been longing to speak to you for years, and I'm happy that finally that day has come to pass.
Tell me.
Yes. I'm not sure. It would seem we might be struggling with the network connection, but let's give it a try. It's almost 30 years now since we got our democracy in the Republic, but the issues of women are still very topical and very relevant. How have we fared as a country, and how are we doing presently?
Thank you very much. Yes, it's true that women's issues are still relevant. As a country, I think we've done relatively well, but there's still a lot more to be done. We've done relatively well. For instance, if we take education, there's equal access to education for boys and girls, both at high school and at tertiary. And in fact, you find that more girls sit for matric and pass matric. So at that level, we're doing well, but again, there's still a lot more to be done because there are still young girls who drop out of school for various reasons. Sometimes it's pregnancy, sometimes it's other reasons. But compared to where we were before 94, we've done well. If we look at health, before 94, women had to travel long distances to access healthcare, especially pregnant women. But now we do have lots of clinics which they can access. We still have to build more, but at least there's lots more that we have built. And also there's free healthcare for children under 6 and also pregnant women. But also there's free primary healthcare, which means women and young girls have access to that. If we take, for instance, the economy, the economy is much more difficult, let me say, because first of all, women tend to find it difficult to access the financial sector. When women are looking for loans, even if it's small, it's much more difficult for them than it is if we compare to men. So that's an area we still have to work on. Also skills. We need to ensure that women are not just going through education metric, but they also get skills that will enable them to get jobs or to create jobs. Because as we can see now, there are more women who are unemployed than men. So that's an area, a big area we need to work on. You take agriculture. In agriculture, there are lots of women who work in agriculture, but they don't own the land. So they are not working to produce for themselves. They are producing for other people. So access to land is more important. Even in the rural areas, women tend to find it difficult to access land than men. And that's an area we still have to work on. But if you come to politics, women, if you take parliament, there's still no 50-50 in parliament, even though we should have 50-50 in parliament. For the ANC component has 50-50, but it then becomes less because the other parties do not do 50-50 like the ANC does. In cabinet, ministers and the 50-50 at that level, But at the presidential level, we don't have 50-50. So we still have to work on that as well. And the major challenge is also access to the judiciary, to justice, because our justice system tends to be expensive. When you want to open a case, you have to go to the police station, fine. Do you get a friendly welcome at the police station? Women tell us they don't most of the time. So we still have to work on that. Instead of them being given a chance to say what they want, they get asked awkward questions like, you were raped, what were you wearing? What has that got to do with the fact that you were raped? Why should you be answering to what you were wearing? So there are issues like that. Even GPV, when they go and report GPV, sometimes it's difficult, especially when it's domestic. So that area is still difficult. But we need to also, when it comes to GPV, I think we need to work on we're trying to work on a strategy for prevention, so that, because at the moment, most of the strategies are about reacting when something has happened. We need to work on something, on a way to prevent. So what we are suggesting is that there must be a campaign at the ward level that is led by all the stakeholders, the councillors, religious leaders in the rural areas, traditional leaders, women in all their formations, women from church, women from whatever sector. Youth should also be there, men should be there, business should be there. And if we all said in our ward, zero tolerance to GPV in our ward, and as citizens in that ward, we agree that we will not tolerate GPV, and campaign and make sure that we do not really tolerate GPV. I think it's one way of trying to make our spaces where we live safer for women, because a lot of women don't feel safe in the areas where they live, especially if they have to walk to walk back from work in the evenings, and so on. So there's still a lot more that we can do. But when it comes to GPV, I think us as citizens, we can't just say the police will stop it, because the police come after. We as citizens must do a lot in the areas where we live to prevent GPV. So that's one area that I feel strongly that as citizens we need to take it upon our hands to ensure that GPV does not happen in the spaces where we live.
And okay, you may continue, Minister.
And also women in the academic space. When you look at the vice chancellors, you look at professors, there's still a lot more to do there. And that space is very important, because when a young girl, a young woman arrives at university, you want to be a nuclear physicist. I'm just making an example. Mm. But all the lecturers and all the professors are men. She might start doubting whether this is really what she should be doing, because she doesn't see any women. So it's important that the academic space is also open for women, so that the young women who come in can have role models, because role models are very important. If you must have someone that you look up to, lady say, I wish to be like this professor. So it's an area that I feel also still needs to be opened up quite a lot. But you wanted to say something, so let me stop.
Yes, I wanted to draw you back to the issues that you raised. I'm happy that you are now you even went further to talk about the issue of a academic field, wherein it also goes back to the fact that, like you said during the inception of this conversation, that more and more women are seen to be dropping out of school. They don't have that, shall I say, desired access to further their studies because of a number of reasons. Now, what needs to happen going forward, Honorable Minister? Because now people will go back and say, but it's been 29 years. We know we are from years of segregations and lack of gender equality. But now, since the inception of the new constitution, why are we not winning this battle to see to it that the level and the playing fields are leveled?
Well, I think making a law and the constitution is one thing, but changing attitudes and changing practices is another. For instance, let me take you culturally. In many cultures, people don't think they should educate women because women must get married and bring lobola or something to the family. So it's not just government that must change things, but us as people, we must also change our attitude. Women, girls must be educated. It can't be that, oh no, why do you want to educate girls? When I grew up, it was like that. Girls, they must get married and bring cows in some families. So we must change that. We must say girls and boys all need education and skills. So we must change our own attitude. In the family, how many families bring boys and girls as equals? There are lots of families who don't bring up boys and girls as equals. They will bring up a boy like a little prince and a girl like a worker for this boy. How many families will tolerate when a boy sends their sister to do something for him and not say, no, you also can do it for yourself. You can make tea for yourself. Why should it be your sister who stands up? When you are thirsty, why should it be your sister who stands up and makes tea? But even in families, we still find that. We still find even responsibilities in the boy can come late at night. The boy can wash a car, and whilst he's washing the car, they can show him how to drive the car. But the girl, the girl must be somewhere else doing something else. So I think, and a boy can beat up a sister, and the parents don't say, you are not going to do that. They might even say when the sister comes running, what did you do to him? Why is he beating you up? As though there is a reason why she should be beaten up. So our attitude as families, as parents, must also change. We can't change that through legislation. The attitude must change.
I see. And I think that goes back to the issues that you raised in terms of campaigns involving everyone from the ward level. Now, Honorable Minister, with the 3 minutes that I'm left with here, what can we look forward as we go exactly to 30 years since democracy, that we can say this is what we shall have achieved by, shall I say, August of 2024?
Well, as I said at the beginning, there is a lot that we have achieved for women. For instance, we are trying very hard to ensure that more and more women have access, more and more families have access to clean water. Because when there is no water in the family, it tends to be the responsibility of the women to go and fetch the water. And that's why we also campaigned hard to make sure that there is electrification of homes, because it tended to fall on the women to get wood for cooking and all that when there is no electricity in the home. So if we look back and say, you see, we were oppressed for more than 300 years, and we've only been there for 30 years. But when you look at the progress that we've made, we have made a lot more progress. Even in the human settlement, there are lots of families who have at least shelter that is more secure than they did before. But that doesn't mean that we have achieved everything. But if you look at what we have achieved, it's actually phenomenal. Yes. What we have done in the 30 years is phenomenal compared to where, the late Kwame Nkrumah once said, when you judge a person, you mustn't judge by the height they've reached. You must also judge by the depth from which they came. Because sometimes we tend to just judge by the height we have reached without looking at the depth from which we came. And if we look at the depth from which we came, we have achieved a lot.
I see.
And we are the first ones to admit that a lot more still needs to be achieved.
Honorable Minister, where were you when our country was going through, what is that? CODESA 1, CODESA 2. Some people are saying things that are happening today in Kempton Park. It's another CODESA, CODESA 3. Can you equate the two, Honorable Minister, judging by where you've been on that or during that time?
CODESA 1 and CODESA 2.
Yeah, judging by what happened then, as and when there was CODESA, and now that other political parties are meeting in Kempton Park today as we speak, can we compare the two, or the two are two different events?
As far as I know, they are two different events. I don't know what's happening in Kempton Park now. I'm not there, so I can't say exactly this is what is happening. But what I know is the opposition that is meeting, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
At Kempton Park. Now, CODESA was not necessarily about the opposition versus the ruling party. It was about the decolonization. So we were not in opposition. We were not an opposition party trying to unseat a ruling party, because at the time they were ruling. We were not an opposition party trying to unseat a ruling party. We were a liberation movement that was trying to ensure that there is decolonization, that women are no longer minors. There was a Natal code at the time which made women of all ages minors. So we were talking about serious matters that needed to transition us from exploitation, oppression, racism, sexism. Women were oppressed, triply oppressed. They were oppressed because they were women, because they were workers, because African black. So you can't compare what's happening now and what was happening there in my view.
Exactly. Okay. Honorable Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I don't wait for a long time to have me again. I'm there. You can call and I will come.
Okay, no, thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Balaba bulana bona holobje eksuka ofisini ya president bengeri hinga yimi koza kuba late ba konka ronwana unwana kuba e ba kom volo tshembisa vo kambe switele leswi va nga vulavula hi swona kombisa timhaka ta ku naswona ku nkarhi na ha ri hava kambe leswi va kombisa swona timhaka ta leswaku va tanihi ndzawulo ve le ku tirheni ku antswisa xiyimo xa vamanana ka swiyenge swo hambanahambana loko va languta kusuka lomu hi suka ko ku fika laha hi nga ko ku na ku antswa swinene eka swiyimo swa vamanana va pfumela ku vamanana vo tala va pfumala mintirho va pfumela ku vamanana vo tala va le ku yiseni mahlweni tidyondzo hi swivangelo swo hambanahambana na ku ka va nga koti ku fikelela timhaka ta swa timali kambe ve nge i swin'wana swa leswi swi nga ta hetelela swi langutiwa ku ya mahlweni loko hi languta ka timhaka ta ku xana hi nga fananisa nhlengeletano leyi nge le ku endlekeni a Kempton Park na leyi ya va khodesa va ku swi nge fani sweswo hi ku leyi a ku langutiwa swilo hi ku angarhela na ko a ku nga vi na ku na mavandla yo kaneta kumbe yini kambe a ku ri ku cinca xiyimo ngopfungopfu na swixava xisati ku ya hi sweswi va suka ka holobye ka hofisi yoleyo hi ndlela yoleyo se hi komisa i swin'wana swa leswi va nga vulavula hi swona ni pfumeleni ni famba a yi ngoveni i kwala loko ndzi vona a yi ngoveni a yime se leswi a yimise swo wa tikomba ku i le ku n'wi hlweriseni na se silili ni le ku va hlweriseni se yimani famba.
Okay, fambani hina hi sala hi da bubble gum era vunharhu namuntlha chungama mututwa kha ngqam ngqam hi tiphina a tibini ta